when you came over, like what gyms were you associated with early on for like your training?
So in the beginning, I lived in Scotland, and there I just did like random bits, random session here and there. And it wasn't until I was already living in Brighton, when I went back to Muay Thai, and I started with Kenshiro Muay Thai.
Oh yeah, yeah.
With Kenny, Kenny Moyston. So I was there for quite a few years, just doing Muay Thai. Yeah.
Yeah. And then when do you? Because I mean, when I first came across you online, I think it was through grappling and jiu-jitsu. So when do you kind of make that? Do you make that switch to grappling, or was you always intending to kind of, MMA is the direction I wanted to go? What was that process?
So it's funny because, as I mentioned before, like when I trained Muay Thai, I used to actually say like, your grappling is not going to work on me because if I punch you or kick you in the face, that's it. How are you going to take me down? It's funny. But and then at some point, I think like a few years into fighting Muay Thai, I started watching a lot of MMA, especially when like the female MMA started being more popular, and I really enjoyed watching UFC and like all of the big shows. So from then on, I decided like I want to give it a go. I want to start doing MMA. So I remember like Kenny had this little like women's fight club thing where we did MMA, but like he was coaching us, and we were just doing like random bits, just a few girls getting together and like doing MMA, but having no clue what MMA really is. And I got injured pretty quick. I remember someone took me down. I had no idea how to break fall, so I just fell on my wrist. They fell on me, and I completely smashed my wrist. And then from then on, I was like, right, if I want to do this thing, I need to learn like the basics of grappling at least, because it's not gonna go well. I'm gonna keep getting injured. So once I finished uni, I was at uni at the time as well, so I was kind of training around it. Once I finished uni, I decided to go full time with fighting, and that's when like I got my first gi, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'm getting into grappling." I remember.
So that's where the addiction started with the grappling.
Not really. That's the thing. I never really wanted to do grappling. There was never a moment when I was like, "Oh, I love jiu-jitsu. This is what I want to do." I always wanted to fight MMA. Jiu-Jitsu was just kind of to support that dream, to make sure that like I don't have any holes in my game.
Right.
But because I struggled to get decent training and fights in MMA, I carried on doing grappling for the longest. And then I had like a little MMA fight, and I basically submitted myself in it. And that made me realize I really need to focus on grappling. And that was the moment when I decided to focus on grappling for just a year. That was the plan. But then because I couldn't get fights and Corona happened, this and that, it just got super extended. And I ended up just, like getting deep into the grappling circuit. But that was never a plan. That just happened as a kind of collateral damage.
Just before we move on about the combat sports, so what did you study at uni? What was you studying?
So I actually got 2 degrees, funny enough. My first one is Fine Arts. I'm an artist.
Okay.
Yeah, super useless. Second one is Neuroscience. Yes, that was my second one, and again, like just super different and both completely useless, art and science. And I never really wanted to do anything with it. I always wanted to just fight, but I did it for myself. Yeah.
I'm nodding along like I knew what was your second degree?
Neuroscience.
Yeah. So what is that?
It's the science of the brain and the nervous system, basically.
Yeah. So
pretty cool.
Yeah, that's like a crazy thing to kind of go into, and then not really, I don't really want to go anywhere with it.
Yeah, but at least now I understand everything about brain damage.
Yeah. So, like jump on a commission at some point for like CTE or
because it was more of I wanted to break that generational curse of like not being able to get to anywhere, not being able to get to uni, not being able to graduate. Like, I wasn't able to get a grant like all the people in the course to be able to support that. So I had to have like 3 jobs. I was still training and I was grinding on my degree, but I managed to finish. I managed to finish with a first class as well. I just proved to myself that I can do it and I don't need anyone's help. Yeah. And I can do like 5 different things at the same time too. Yeah. And I think that was just for myself, just to prove the point that I can do whatever the fuck I want to do.
That's it. Point proves.
Yeah.